Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you for joining today's office hours. This is a recorded session, and this is an interactive session, so we really encourage you to ask all your questions. Today, we're going to be hosted by Bianca. I work very closely with her, and Seshu, he's on our technical team, so you've got the great brains behind agentic document extraction. And with that, take it away, Bianca.
Hi, thank you for that great introduction, Adrian. I am Bianca. I am a senior technical writer here at LandingAI, and I am joined by Seshu, one of our technical support engineers. So we are happy to take your questions, discuss your unique use cases, and really just help you use agentic document extraction in the real world. We have a few other people on this slide. They're unable to join, but they might pop in later. And we'll get their insights if they do. And before we dive into answering questions, we wanted to share some of the updates with agentic document extraction. The team is always working on adding new features, adding improvements, and a lot of this is driven by feedback from our real customers. So these are all things that, are can be used in real world environments. Our most exciting recent release is our new API, which is split. So this allows you to split your documents. For example, if you have a long PDF that's given to you that is made up of several sub-documents like invoices, utility bills, IDs, et cetera, you can actually set up a set of rules to then separate the content by those relevant sections. So instead of having everything be in like one set of markdown, you can break it up to markdown for the bank statement, the utility bill, the ID, et cetera, and then have each set of that content go to different downstream tasks. And one place where we've seen this work really well is the Know Your Customer workflow that is applicable to financial institutions. And just to give you some context, if you're already kind of familiar with agentic document extraction, this process, the split process, would happen after parsing. So you would parse your document, then you'd split it, and then if needed, you would go to extract. And split is also totally optional. You're also welcome to just simply split or go from split, or sorry, then go from parse to extract, etc. We've also made some updates to our playground, which is our kind of a what you see is what you get visual interface. When you go to our agentic document extraction website, that's what you see. So we've made it a lot easier to navigate. We've made it easier to manage files you've uploaded, easier to manage files your organization has uploaded. And we've also added a lot more resources directly applicable, directly findable through a tab. So you can see our resources as well as recent product updates. And then we also made some updates to our Parse Jobs API, and we released DBT2 Mini. Those are now a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to go into more detail there. And you can also access all of these changes in our documentation in our changelog, and we have the URL right over here, as well as a little screenshot just to orient you to where you should be looking. And we've had two more of our panelists join. We are now joined by Emily Cooksey, who leads our Builder program, as well as Ava, who runs a lot of our technical marketing and who has created a lot of really great content. So if they pop in and answer questions later, that is who they are. All right. So Adrian, have there been any questions that have popped up in the chat so far?
We do have one great question here, and I think this is kind of a broad question, but I think it's applicable. It's how to use ADE for healthcare and how to apply it.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this can be applicable in a few different ways. I mean, there are so many aspects of the healthcare process, and I think ADE does really well at solving a lot of the document processing challenges that come into different parts of that process. For example, one of them is processing like prior or authorization requests. A lot of times that's, you get paperwork, you don't know where to find the information that could be scanned in and processed. And we actually have a user right now who is in the healthcare space who has created like a knowledge base of a lot of medical related information and uses ADE to process all of that and then have end users like clinicians and doctors access that. And I'm actually going to share some resources for that right now. I'm going to stop my share real quick and navigate to that page so I can share that with you. So here we are on the Landing AI website, and what I've done is I've gone to solutions, agentic document extraction, and healthcare, and we have this page here. I really recommend if you're in the healthcare space to come down to read the case study, and this is from Dr. Declan Kelly. He is with one of our customers, Aeolus Medical. Um, and this goes over how he used ADE to build an application that, again, serves as a really great on-the-go resource for clinicians. So I highly recommend watching this video if you have a chance to do that. So I will show a quick example of a healthcare document in ADE. Had this queued up beforehand. So this one is a pathology report. Um, I've already uploaded it in advance, so we can just go ahead and see the results. But if you see here, it's a pathology report. We've got information on blood count. And then over here on this side, we have the markdown results for that. So we are able to see all the information. And like when you actually click on an aspect of it, it highlights the relevant part in the document next to it, which is super useful. So here is probably, the meat and potatoes of this document. We have all the information from this table now in Markdown. So we can definitely get relevant information from this in a programmatic way. And then I'm going to toggle here from Markdown to JSON so you can actually see what the API responds with. So if you're a developer, you can get a better understanding of how you would program around this and how you'd pull information. So everything that, oh, there we go. So everything in this table now is in Markdown. It has a unique ID. We have the literal bounding box coordinates, so you know where in the document this came from. We see that it's on the first page, and all of our um, all of our responses are page 0 indexed. But yeah, you can get the table ID, and then you can actually see like the actual cell number from that table of where this little bit of information is. And we have this chat feature up here. So this is kind of a proof of concept. This isn't actually part of the product, but this can show you how you could create a RAG application about this. So if I query this and I say something like, what is the hemoglobin, say, result? Okay, it says 12.5, and here we see in the document it's also 12.5. So again, like you can query this information that before being just like in a PDF, you wouldn't be able to access as well. And then there's actually a second document I also wanted to highlight in the healthcare space. So this one's also a report, and this one has the kind of added complication of having images. And for some reason, you know what? It's not wanting to pull up these images, which, oh, maybe it's because I'm in here. Oh, okay, that was it. I was looking at the wrong view. Okay, so in parse, something that ADE can do that a traditional OCR application wouldn't be able to do is to interpret images. So here we have these figures from biopsy. So complex, I don't know what they mean. However, our ADE endpoint is able to actually understand that this is a histological image showing a cross section of skin tissue, and then it has a lot more information about that. So it's not just saying what letters are on the page, what numbers are on the page. You can actually understand what these really complex medical images are and what they mean. So that could definitely assist in diagnosis or understanding, better understanding what a patient is experiencing. Adrian, I think I have answered that question. Anything else?
Yeah, we have a few more questions. What is DBT?
That is a really good question. So DPT is our parsing model. So DPT, and I want to make sure I want to make sure I am not missaying what it is. So I'm actually going to pull up our documentation here. It is a document pre-trained transformer, and that really just means that it is the model that's powering the parsing in ADE. So we just went and threw another acronym in there for you. Um, but one of the really cool things about this is that you can select the model you're using when you use ADE, and that can impact. Well, first of all, it's probably driven by what you want to accomplish, and then that will kind of impact the behavior of how the parsing works. We first launched with DPT-1. We don't recommend using that. Our currently DPT is DPT-2. So that has better captioning, and by captioning I mean better, it offers better descriptions of figures. It can handle more complex elements. We call them chunks, so it can handle more complex elements like barcodes, um, QR codes, IDs, like a driver's license is now its own element type, its own chunk type. And then we also have, we are in preview of DPT-2 Mini, and you can definitely come back to this page, read more at your leisure. So this is really good for more simple documents. So this includes PDFs created from digital files as opposed to like scanned PDFs that might be a little bit more messier, might be lower resolution. Documents that are in English have a more simple and that have a more simple layout. And this we are offering because some customers don't need the type of figure analysis that we just went over here. So if you have a simple document, you don't need this. You don't need, you know, what is it? You don't need a sledgehammer to do something that a regular hammer could do. So that's kind of an analogy to think about there for the DPT-2 Mini. And one of the great things about this is it's also it consumes fewer credits when you parse with this. So your credits that you have will go a lot farther as well. And in regards to DPT, so when you parse a file, you'll actually get an option here to select which model you want. So it defaults to DBT2, which is what we kind of recommend starting with. We still have DPT1, but we really only recommend that if that's what you started with and you need consistent behavior. And then we have the mini, which again is in preview, and then you're getting a little sneak peek at this other one, which you won't actually see. I'm in a kind of a separate environment, so that is not visible in production. But yeah, you can switch it here, and then as well, you can set it in the actual code too. We have a parameter. So right here, we're looking at the Python code for parsing a document. We're setting it here, the model to DBT2, and then if you look at the sample API code, we do a similar approach. So you can either set the model, and you can also pin a specific snapshot. And if you have any follow-up questions about what any of that means, feel free to reach out to us and we can elaborate on more about, what might be a good model for your use case or whether you should use the latest or pin a version, etc. Does the panel want to add any more commentary or thoughts or context about that?
Yeah, on the pre-trained part, so this is not the general model that you get outside. So this is something that we pre-trained internal, and that's where the precision and accuracy comes with landing versus you compare with other general available models. So just an FYI, document pre-trained, the pre-trained is the emphasis really.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Yes, this is unique to Landing AI. All right, I think we're good to move on to the next question then.
Okay, let's we have another question. Does ADE only support PDFs?
That is a really good question. And the answer is that we support a whole variety of documents. And this is, if you checked us out in the early days, We basically started with PDFs and images, and we have expanded our support for file types. And you can actually get a full list of all of them in our documentation as well. It's all here. So if we go to supported file types, we have this table that shows all the file types that we support, organized by type. So we've got PDF, we've got all the images, the type of text documents, presentations, spreadsheets, and then some of them we can support in the playground, and then some of the kind of more advanced, complex types you can only parse or handle through the API or our libraries. But yeah, we have a whole variety that we support. And I'm really excited about some of these recent additions here. We had so many questions about spreadsheets, and we finally support it. And it looks really good, and the results are pretty impressive. I actually have a spreadsheet pulled up. I was testing out. Okay, here we go. So we're back in ADE. I had uploaded this earlier. We see up here that this is a Microsoft Excel. We also support CSV. So here on this side, we can see the original spreadsheet. So we have an actual preview. We don't have to guess what it looked like. So this is some financial documentation. It only has one sheet, but if you did have multiple tabs, that would display here, and you could toggle between them, which I think is a really helpful feature, not just limited to one tab at a time. And then over here, we're going to see how it is formulated in the markdown. So we have the same headings from here. We have the same data. We see January 5th, 2024 sales. Again, we see that over here. And then if we hop on over to the JSON, which again is like the actual response you'll get from the API call, we're going to see all of the same content. And something that I am very personally excited about is that everything is grounded to the actual cell. So if you need to verify that something actually, that's a point of data is where ADE says it does, where it says it is, you can actually go and verify that it is indeed in that specific cell, which is very helpful. So here we show it's like, oh, it's in this sheet one. That's the name of the sheet here, and that it's in cell A1, which is super useful and good. So that is how spreadsheets look in ADE. All right, Adrian, what's up next?
Does ADE only support English?
That is also a really good question. And similar to this, we support more than just one language. And I'm also going to start again in the documentation. As a technical writer, I'm a little biased because I spend a lot of time in here. So you can come into our documentation and find our list of supported languages. So we have varying levels of support. So far, we've just been showing documents in English, but we support, English, Chinese, Dutch, French, German, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also offer what we call moderate support and basic support for other languages. So this means that it might not necessarily be 100% accurate, and it also depends on the font, the resolution, et cetera. So there might be varying levels of support or proper interpretation of these languages. And what we really recommend, like if you're curious at all, if it'll support one language or another, we really recommend just going actually like into ADE and uploading your document or something similar to your document, and just really seeing what the results look like. That'll a lot of times kind of give you an idea of what you can expect moving forward. And if there are specific languages that you are interested in, or if the results aren't matching what you expect, please do reach out to us. As I mentioned earlier, we're very responsive to feedback, and this product is really driven to address real world use cases. And I also have a document pulled up here that is, Oh, here, this one. So this is a one-page document that is in French. I don't speak French, so I personally can't verify if everything is correct or not. But you can see it's in French, and then if you look over here, it's broken down with the actual like text in French. So just kind of giving you a quick example that it can handle different languages. Panel, anything to add? Any languages you've seen ADE work really well on?
So I personally worked with Chinese, and I would say it's working pretty well on Chinese, especially if there is like a mix of like English and Chinese. For example, I parse a worksheet from a student. So it's basically written in English, but there are two words in Chinese. So it actually did quite well, able to translate, give the context. Okay, this is Chinese and it translates into English. The meaning, it's English meaning. And I'll also share the blog post in the chat. It's actually a great piece to check out for non-English users on how ADE performs. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Adrian, next question, if there are any.
I think we're actually good as we hit the first 30 minutes.
Well, while we wait to see if there's any more questions from our attendees, I will go ahead and share a quick highlight or demo of the new features that I mentioned at the top of this call. The new split feature and the new playground. So this is our revamped, redesigned playground. I know I keep saying I'm excited about things, but I am genuinely very excited about this upgrade. Our UX team put a lot of thought into it, and we've had a lot of great feedback on how easy it is to use and how much easier it is to manage files. So at the top, you'll notice here we have our 3 steps laid out, very straightforward. You can hop straight into any of these. Um, if you wanted, if you're most excited about extraction, or if that is your use case, you can start here. And when you upload a document, it will parse it in the background. Let's see here. Um, so it'll be parsing in the background, but it'll take you straight to extract. So if you aren't as concerned about that aspect of it, you don't have to like kind of go through each step just to go to where you want. And I'm gonna exit out of this real quick just to continue showing a tour of our new homepage. So yeah, you can dive right into whichever API is most suitable to your use case. Here we have example files. So when you click on one of these, we have these files that we have already run parse on, so you can interact with them and see how ADE works, which is really good if you really have zero point of reference for ADE. You just kind of want to get an idea of what you can expect. We also down here, you can toggle to recent files. So these are all files that I have uploaded recently, and here you see that this is the parse icon and it's green, and then the other two are grayed out, which means I have not run split or extract on them yet. So if you're working with a ton of files that you've uploaded to the playground, you can kind of get a quick reminder of how you've processed them. And then you can see the whole list either by clicking view all files or by going to this new files shortcut here. And again, you can see all your files. You can search through them, sort, and you can again see if they've been processed or how they've been processed. And you can also delete and have a shortcut to the share. So this was really driven by user feedback that people wanted an easier way to manage and reference their files. And one of the ways that this can be especially helpful to users is if you are in an organization and you want to share files or want to see what other people have been uploading, so you can interact with those documents. And a kind of a quick side note there, if you have an organization that has the zero data retention feature turned on, also called ZDR, you will not see other people's documents. So if you have that security feature enabled, you don't have to worry about documents accidentally showing up. They They will not exist. We do not store them, and other users in your organization will not see them. So we have that security feature in place. And then over here, oh, yeah, go ahead.
On that ZDR, I think they also won't see the history, right, here after
Yes.
login, because they upload the doc, it gets parsed, and then they log out and it's gone. So you won't be able to see the history. But of course, you can see the trail of usage by going into usage and see the number of credits used and when those credits were deducted. And you probably also will be able to see the file name here. But of course, you won't see the file itself and, its parse results after you log out. That's only if you turn on ZDR, just an FYI.
Thank you so much for the additional clarification on that point. Yes, that is all correct. We have those extra security measures in place, but you can always see a history here just for traceability and record keeping.
I might also want to tell one other thing. There are a few users who will say ZDR on for their APIs, but off for their playground so that they can come back, refine it, get the schema out, and go back to the code. So that there is that option too, where you can keep the ZDR off for your API calls, for your playground, so you can still see your files and refer back. But then you could turn it on only for your API calls. So yeah.
Thank you, as well for the additional context about that. And I've navigated to where you will see that. So if you are part of an organization, which means that you are on a visionary teams or enterprise plan, thank you. You'll see these settings here when you turn on ZDR, and you can decide what level you want, or what you want the ZDR to apply to. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, back here. Okay, to continue the tour of the homepage, we also have these new panels here. So we have a list of product updates, so you don't have to guess what was added. And then we also have these resources. So if you have more questions, you can dive into it. Okay, I'll just do like a quick introduction to Split then. And again, if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to ask. So here is a document that I had pre-loaded into ADE, and this is really addressing something that I think would be interesting to financial organizations, mortgage people who offer mortgages, other financial institutions. So we have a PDF here. It's 9 pages, and this is made up of 2 bank account statements and 2 pay stubs for a person. So here we've got the first account statement. We have a second one here. And then we have pay stub number 1 and pay stub number 2. So you got this long PDF, and maybe you don't need all the information from it, but you want to kind of segment it into different sections. You would first bring it in here and parse, and then you would split it. And I've already gone ahead and run split. And I was able to, let me make this a little smaller. You can see this here. We've got our split rule. So I had said before, like I want this broken up by account statement and by earnings statement. And then this is a default. If the ADE cannot figure out what the category is, it'll mark it as uncategorized. That is always there for you. And if you have any questions about what split rules are, you can always get this little cheat sheet right here. Then as you can see over here, I've already run this through the Split API, and it's gone ahead and marked this as each checking account statement and each earnings statement. And so with that, that's kind of a quick introduction to the new Split API. And I think that wraps up all the demos. And if there were no other questions, I think we can probably wrap up. Adrian?
We are good. And thank you everyone for joining us. And we look forward to engaging you around agentic document extraction. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of the day.